This is the story of a young high school student who is at the peak of his puberty and is about to embark on a journey of living alone with the ghost of a very old young female knight. Not your typical high school romance story, right? It certainly is not a normal story from any point of view. Not without any more dilly-dallying, let's dive into the story of a high school boy who will be starting his high school life in Tokyo with the ghost of a female knight. In the first scene, we see a woman tied to a stake, about to be burnt, and the crowd around her is shouting chants in favor of burning her. They are referring her as a witch and loudly shouting that her kind should be burnt alive and given death. The people are accusing her of corrupting the nobility of their country with her dark magic and bringing ruin to their country. The people are raging and demanding the witches to be purged from their sacred land. The crowd is so enraged that they are starting to call her a beast and stopped referring her as a human. To the crowd, she was no longer a human but a lowly beast who should be sent to death so that their kingdom can regain its past glory. After seeing the outrage against her, the woman who was tied up on the stake thought to herself that all the blood she spilled during her battles and expeditions for the peace and prosperity of the kingdom are no more of value to anyone. Her sacrifices that she made for the citizens of this kingdom are worthless, as the same people she protected are now burning her on a stake. As the time passed, the outrage amongst the people started growing and they demanded her death even more fiercely. Looking at the outburst of the people, she questioned that after all she had done for the people of her kingdom, is this the gratitude they are showing her? And if this was the reward of all her hard work, blood, and sacrifice? Even in the end, as the flames started to rise and began to engulf her, she still thought about the kingdom and prayed that may her homeland and kingdom flourish for 1,000 generations to come. Now we are back in the present, and in this scene, we see Chiba Chiore, our main character, who is about to start his high school in the spring season, sitting in the office of a real estate agent. The agent sitting across the table asked Chiba if he is looking for a place of his own while he is attending his high school. Chiba agreed and said that the real estate agent has accurately described his wishes, and that he has already received permission from his parents, so he does not to worry about much of anything. The real estate agent said to him that he has understood and asked Chiba what are the specific requirements he has in his mind for the apartment, and further explained that he wants to know what is his maximum budget for the apartment. Then Chiba replied that he is hoping to get a place that will cost him at most 30,000 yen per month, or even better if costs less. The real estate agent, with a puzzled look on his face, asked Chiba again to reassure what he had said, that he wants an apartment that will cost him 30,000 yen or less in Tokyo proper. Chiba, realizing how ridiculous his demands are, then said that it is next to impossible to find an apartment within 30,000 yen in Tokyo proper, and said that it is a pipe dream and it is impossible to find one. Hearing this, the real estate agent said to Chiba that surprisingly enough, there is something rather unique that he has. He said that he has an apartment that is fully furnished with all the utilities that are included in other apartments of Tokyo Central. He added that the apartment is a designer apartment with a rent of 20,000 yen only, and it inclusive of every facility provided with the apartment covered within the rent of the house. This shocked Chiba too much, and Chiba almost shouted in astonishment and asked the real estate agent if there is really an apartment in Tokyo proper within his range of 30,000 yen that is fully furnished and the cost of all other utilities are included in the rent. He asked the real estate agent if he was playing a joke on him. The real estate agent said no to him and then continued that the apartment price may be appealing and cheap, but there is a reason for it. He continued saying that there is a local folklore stuck with that property. The real estate agent also added the fact that these folklores might as well just be some rumors. Then the agent said that if he still remains interested, then he willing to show it to Chiba, but was interrupted by Chiba, who said that if it's some supernatural nonsense or ghost stories, then he surely will not fall for such mumbo-jumbo, and said that it will not be any problem for him to show that apartment. The agent remarked that it is excellent thinking and said that if that is the case, then we shall proceed to review the apartment. And Chiba very excitedly said that he definitely wants to see the apartment and said that he wants to go and check out the apartment right this instant. Seeing how excited Chiba is, the real estate agent said, "Let's get you moved in his new home." They entered the car and started driving into the main Tokyo area. After driving for a while, they reached a plain-looking apartment that was average in every way possible. At that time, Chiba remembered the words that the real estate agent said to describe the apartment to him. How he said that it was a designer apartment, but in reality, it was like any other old rental apartment Tokyo had to offer. Looking at the old building, Chiba thought to himself that this building is much more similar to a forgotten mausoleum than a designer apartment. But Chiba consoled himself by saying that this place is still a steal in every way. He thought about the low rent and said that at that low price he can't argue much about bad aesthetics. The real estate agent went on to pile exaggerated praises about the apartment, and further said that this distinct property showcases the designs inspired from Europe and incorporates the European style into itself. Hearing this, Chiba, sounding astonished, exclaimed that it was European-inspired. The real estate agent then clarified using the ceiling beam as an example and said that the beams are crafted from genuine imported European timber. Hearing that, a shocked Chiba asked him if this was his idea of European design and asked if he really was serious. Then, in a serious tone, the real estate agent said that the locals believe in a folklore about this location and said that the local legends say that the timber used in the construction of the building was salvaged from actual witch execution scaffolds, and added that this location and the apartment have quite the historical significance, or so the locals believe it. Chiba exclaimed and said so. That's the rumor he was talking about back at his office. Then Chiba remembered the rent and said that he would not like to quibble into the historical beliefs and affairs of the locals for the rent of 20,000 yen for a month. As he was saying, this Chiba opened the curtain on the windows to take a look at the view that the apartment offered. As soon as he opened the curtains, he saw a strange-looking man was standing at the edge of the apartment compound's boundary. The man standing at the edge is too peculiar. He has a half-bald head with great eyelashes and a puzzled look on his face. Chiba could not help but notice him because he stood out too much. He thought to himself that a very peculiar character is peeping inside the house through the windows. Looking at the man's gaze, Chiba got scared and thought that if this is what the locals meant by the house being haunted, then the locality was saying the truth, as the sight of the peculiar man staring at him was truly traumatizing, and Chiba felt haunted because of it. Chiba could not remove his eyes from him, and they were locked in an intense, unwavering eye contact. And as he looked longer into the man's eyes, he felt that the man was looking at him with a very judgmental look, and that his look was filled with intensely preachy, judgmental vibes. Chiba finally gathered his courage and closed the curtains on the window, finally breaking their intense eye contact, and addressed it to the real estate agent and asked about the peculiar man, and asked if it was a regular case for the unconventional individual who was observing them through the window. To that, the real estate agent could not give a proper satisfactory reply, and just said that it could be said that unexplained phenomena are a commonplace here, because this apartment has a certain notorious reputation to it. Now back to the peculiar man standing outside the house. He's still standing there and said that the room he saw Chiba has a very malevolent aura emanating from it, and it is very strong and profound. Back inside the room, we see the real estate agent and Chiba are continuing their conversation, and the real estate agent says that maybe this location was not a good idea after all, and that they should explore other available listings that might be costly, but none of them have a notorious reputation to them. Chiba, hearing this, thought for a while, and while sparkles in his eyes, said that he is absolutely certain that he will take this apartment. Chiba is so sure of his decision that he asked the real estate agent that he will be taking this apartment right now, so he should hurry and bring out the paperwork, and they should do all the legal requirements as soon as possible. The real estate agent asked Chiba again if he is absolutely certain about his decision and that he might come to regret it later. But by then it will be difficult to do anything. He added that this place is without a doubt actively occupied by unseen residents and other unexplainable supernatural phenomena. Chib, still at the top of his spirits, said that it is perfectly fine with him, and even went ahead to challenge the ghosts and ask them to do their best to scare them. Chiba added that he does not believe in any of the spectral and mysterious beings anyway, so it will not be too difficult for him to handle any unforeseen, peculiar situations. Seeing how adamant Chiba is on his decision, the real estate agent decided to back down and agreed to give him the apartment. Then he brought out the required paperworks and asked Chiba to sign the documents and attest it with his personal seal. While signing the documents, Chiba thought to himself that there is absolutely nothing in this world that can outweigh a 20,000 yen apartment that is practically on top of the Tokyo train station and is the best location for a student who just entered his high school. Haunted or not, he will never find another deal even similar to this one. 1 week later, Chiba finally got settled into his new home. As he moved the last box into the house, he sighed a deep breath of relief and said that finally he is settled in, and all set to start a new journey in his life. He thought to himself that starting today he will be living on his own, and kept the box on the floor and started to unpack everything. After he unpacked everything, he sat down at the table, and while he's sitting in silence, he heard some noises. He questioned if he really heard some noises, or it was just his imagination playing tricks on him because it is the first time he is living alone. He then questioned if it was the wind, and then he heard it again and was sure that he was hearing some noise. Even after he heard the sounds, he said that it is nothing as it just costs him 20,000 yen, and a few weird noises come complementary with the new territory. Saying this in a very carefree way, he lied flat on the floor and fantasized about how he can bring a girlfriend here with him someday. Saying this, he started giggling. Then he rolled over and started playing games, ignoring his environment completely. Time passed, and now it's nighttime, and Chiba is in his bed to sleep, and while he has closed his eyes, he thought to himself that nothing out of the ordinary happened the whole say, and that his thinking was true, that the ghosts are just his superstitions, and that they are not real, and some stories made to scare children. He continues to recall the events of the whole day and thought that there really was nothing strange about the whole day and nothing showed up the whole day, almost sounding disappointed with how the events of the day turned out. Then all of a sudden, he started hearing noises coming from the room, breaking his chain of thoughts and the silence of the room. There were sounds of people chants to kill some woman, and Chiba asked who they were trying to kill and why are the people so passive about killing her. If they want her to be killed, then they should do it themselves. Chiba further asked the person if he is really a ghost, then would not they be able to curse people or do something bad to them or even kill them. But the person did not say anything and just repeatedly chanted the words, "Kill her." And as time passed, the voice started to grow louder and more vivid. Chiba finally cracked and shouted that as he said to him, he will not kill her. As he opened his eyes, he sees a woman hanging on his ceiling roof where the real estate agent said that the beam was salvaged from an actual execution of a witch. He saw her and was totally dumbfounded. He saw two men wearing strange clothes were whipping the woman, and she was letting out voices in pain. Then she is hit too hard, and she lets out shriek in pain, and Chiba said her not to shriek at him and was very confused as to what is going on. As soon as he saw that she is in pain and that the two men were not stopping, he went to help her by stopping the men. As soon as E held one man's arm, he shouted as if in too much pain and then disappeared into thin air. Same happened with the other guy, when he held him to ask why was a woman hovering over him while he's sleeping. Both men vanished when he touched them, and because of this, Chiba became even more certain that he is in a dream, and that it is not just a normal dream, but a dream where many things happen and where all his fantasies can come true. He thought that this is a dream as the ghosts are a superstition. He then remembered that he had not taken care of the business today and had not relieved his stress for the day, and such a good dream would be a waste to not enjoy and take care of today's business. As soon as the two men disappeared, Chiba placed a stool under the hovering woman and climbed the stool to reach her height. As he was face to face with the woman, she finally spoke up and asked him if he is the new inquisitor and said to him that no amount or method of torture will shake her faith and that he is wasting his time in doing futile things. As she said it, Chiba noticed that while saying these things, she had a brave, unwavering yet noble look in her eyes. Seeing this, Chiba wondered why this girl in his dream had such brave and unyielding to mere bosom support. Chiba said that she is a pitiful, chaste woman, and that he will receive the blessings of her bosom with eternal gratefulness. And after saying that in his mind, he supported the globes like Atlas, and shocked the woman. She was shocked and embarrassed at the same time and shrieked, saying that what is he doing to her? And seeing her flustered, Chiba realized that she did not expect any of this and that she is shaken to the core. When he held the globes, he was surprised how big and tender the balls were. She started calling him a fiend, and he was busy, as he was enchanted by the sensation. She still tried to gain her composure and said that it is too bad for him, that such techniques will not be effective against her, as she is a knight who doesn't yield to such petty and disgusting things. Chiba still thought that was his dream, and said that this dream of his was in a night setting, and started enjoying his fantasies more. She then said that her god is not some kind of demon, and that she will not be deceived by his actions and words. Then Chiba's swift movement entered his hands inside the woman's clothing so that he can support them, have a better contact with them. She shouted, "Then it was utterly scandalous, and he is doing disgusting things and should stop." Chiba, still enchanted by the globe, started to cry at the fact that he is in direct contact with such tender balls and that he is in heaven. Chiba said that he is so happy now that he could die happily, and to that she replied that she will make sure he dies right now. Then she said that he will face death for touching her, and that he is blessed by her god for facing death. She then said that if he continues his techniques of inquisition, then he will not be able to leave unharmed. Chiba totally ignored her and was in awe of the texture and color. When she is completely ignored by him, she shouted and demanded him to stop his inquisition at once, and if he stops his inquisition at once, then she promises to let him go with just a warning. But Chiba still ignored her and continued further. She finally broke and pleaded him to just kill her and end this inquisition. But Chiba, still thinking that it was his dream, said that it really is a kill me to shut up type of situation. And this just unbelievable how intricate his dreams are. She then said that how can he be so evil with such an innocent smile? He was so immersed in his dream that he asked her to be his girlfriend, and she rejected him with a disgusted face. To cope with his instant rejection, Chiba tried to comfort himself by burying his face on her chest, while he cried like a child. He is devastated because he got rejected in his own dreams. In that state, he thought that a dream can recreate the sense of taste, but it can never create the sense of smell so vividly. Then how is he able to spell the woman so clearly as if she is really there in real life and not in his dreams? He then started to realize that is not really just a dream, and he further thought that could it be really happening right now and that he is not asleep. While he is realizing that his dreams were not realistic but real, the female knight shouted at the top of her voice to just kill her. At this point, she started to glow, and a bright flash covered the room. As the flash subsided and everything became clearer, Chiba saw the knight in a black uniform and was confused as to what is happening in his house and with him. She then stood up and called Chiba, the Inquisitor, and then corrected herself and said that he is not an Inquisitor, but the lackey of a demonic being, or a demon. Then she said that how dare he touch her body that she kept and maintained as a sacred thing for the divine beings, her god. How dare he touch her with her filthy hands and defile it? He was shocked at the turn of events and still tried to collect everything and trying to understand what is happening. She introduced herself as the Holy Knight Marguerite, and then said that she will punish him with the power that her deity has bestowed upon her, and he will receive his retribution. She then called for her sword, the Holy Sword Mergestein. When the blade came out, by the appearance of the sword Chiba, though that it is most demon blade-looking sword if he ever saw one, and it had nothing holy about it. She then said that no amount of torture that they all do will shake her faith and belief she has upon this sword. She said that she will purify his soul, which has been tainted by disgusting and appalling indecency with her holy blade. Chiba is still confused if this all is still a dream, or is it happening for real? As the Holy Knight Marguerite prepared to attack, Chiba felt incredible pressure and said that it is way too real to still be a dream. With that, she attacked Chiba with her sword on the chest and stabbed him and pierced his heart. Chiba was dumbfounded as he had a whole sword in his body, but he is feeling no pain. Even more, he does not even have a scratch on him. He has finally realized that he is not in a dream and it is all real. His whole body has gone numb, and he is unable to feel any of his limbs even though his body is unscathed. Even as Chiba is losing his consciousness, he is still saying that she is so breathtakingly beautiful, and Chiba seriously thought that she is absolutely stunning. At the end, he still prayed that somehow his browser history be deleted and wiped completely clean after he is gone. Several days later, we see Chiba climbing the stairs to his home, while thinking about the day when he thought he had actually died, yet he is still alive and well. He stated that he is now starting to adjust in his new house and school is about to begin. He thought to himself that the other day might as well be a dream now. Maybe it was because the rumor of the haunted room, or due to stress of starting a new life all alone. Or maybe it was just a nightmare all along, or that he wanted to believe that it was one of the above things. But we all know this is not your everyday manga, and hence it was all real and now a part to Chiba's life. As he entered the room, Marguerite welcomed Chiba. She was in the kitchen wearing an apron and holding a knife as if she was busy preparing something. After welcoming Chiba, she said that he has come at the perfect time because she just finished preparing the curry. Chiba asked her if she simmered the curry, to which she asked back, "That is it not that the curries are usually stewed?" To that, they shared confused glances and then sat down. Holy Night Marguerite, who is in an apron, brought out the curry, and it looked delicious, and Chiba even exclaimed about it when he first saw the curry. She said that she studied the method of preparation and how to make the curry through the television tutorials. She added that this batch was her magnum opus and is the best curry she ever made. Chiba then called Marguerite Marusan, which she instantly rejected, and then Chiba said that she should skip the cooking and just ascend to the afterlife as he had repeatedly asked her to do. She came closer to Chiba and called for her sword, and suddenly the sword slightly emerged out of his chest, and when Marguerite tried to pull her sword out, she failed. No matter how hard she pulled her sword, it would not budge an inch, and she said, pointing to the sword sticking out of his chest, that this is the reason why she can't ascend. She came close to Chiba's face and said that until she reclaims the holy sword from Chiba, she will not leave him. Whenever she tried to pull the sword from his chest, he begins to cry out in pain and immediately asks her to stop doing it. Then Chiba explains the whole situation, that even though the holy sword pierced his heart, how he is still alive and is able to draw breath. To make the matters worse, it seems like when Marguerite stabbed him with the holy sword, his body absorbed it as a whole, and now the sword is inside him and refusing to leave. Coming back to the present, they are seared in the dining table when Holy Night Marguerite comes to the table with a pot and asks Chiba if he is feeling hungry, or should she take the curry back with her. Chiba asks her to stay and says that he will eat the curry. They prayed to God and thanked him for the meal and then started to eat. As soon as Chiba put the curry in his mouth, he started coughing and crying because of the spiciness of the curry. Chiba asked her if she brought out lava in that pot as it was too hot to be labeled as food, to which Marguerite said that she has learnt that the spices enhance the preservation. Chiba, still coughing, asked her if she was a caveman, unable to know the taste of the food she cooked, to which she replied that she is centuries old. Chiba couldn't stop coughing and say that even after a while it is still so spicy, and if he continues to eat it, then he will be the one who will ascend to the afterlife first. Out of nowhere, Holy Night Marguerite remembers that day when Chiba thought it was all a dream and say to him. That day, his overwhelming spiritual energy fused with her body and it helped her to gain her physical form. But in return, Chiba's powers integrated the holy sword within him. Marguerite, with a serious expression on her face, said that the holy sword is of more importance to her than her own existence, and that she doesn't care if she is able to cross to afterlife or not. But this is for sure, that she will not leave him until she has gotten her holy sword back from him. Then she added, and said that if he wants her gone, then he should help her get back the holy sword, and until that happens, she will be living with Chiba as she has nowhere else to go, and she has also been residing in that room for a way longer period of time. It can be said that she has been a resident of that location for centuries. Then Chiba asks her if she will be paying rent for living in this house, to which she said that He touched her and did all those things to her quite freely. Hearing this, Chiba tried to defend himself and said that he swears that he thought that he was in a dream, and he even apologized to her on his knees many times and even bowed in front of her while apologizing. He then asks Marguerite if she thinks that he looks like a guy who would do all those things to a woman on purpose and knowing all well without her consent. To which she replied that who can be sure and give assurance for him. Chiba was embarrassed, and then again asked her what does she think of him as a person, to which she took some time and replied that she thinks of him as a sewer rat who stole her holy sword. And Chiba shouted that it's too cruel of an answer from her. With this, the story of cohabitation between a high school student and a female holy knight started. In this scene, we see that Marguerite is sitting in front of the television with a notepad noting down something that seems like a high school drama. As she watched that drama, her eyes sparkled as if she got some interesting new information that will help her in future. She noted down something in her notepad and said that it is very interesting to know about this school that the people of this country study in and go to. Then we see that Chiba is in his class and was getting ready to leave for home as the school just finished. Then he called by someone. It was a boy with blonde hair and piercings in his ears. He's asking if Chiba wants to come with them to the karaoke as they were three about to leave. Chiba thought that he is one of those extroverts and that he doesn't even know his name. He tried hard to recall his name, noticing that Chiba was struggling to remember his name. The blonde guy reintroduced himself and said that his name is Paris Knight, and asked Chiba to remember such a unique name as he will not come across such a unique name again in his life. Then Paris asked him again to come along with them and said that it will be fun to know everyone. He then added that he heard that Chiba lives alone, and that means he doesn't have anything like a curfew, but he always goes straight to home after school. To this, Chiba corrected him and said that he does not live alone, but live with his sister. Paris was confused but accepted it and then said that it doesn't matter he lives alone or not, he just wants them to get along better, because they will be with each other for a whole year after all. Chiba thought to himself that this flashy blonde guy is getting chubby with him, because he wants to take advantage of the fact that he lives alone and then turn his house into a hangout spot. Chiba sternly removed his arms from his shoulder and then said that he will not be going to karaoke as it doesn't benefit his life in any way, and advised Paris, the flashy blonde guy, to spend his time in a more cost-effective way. Then Paris tried to stop Chiba, but he was in no mood to listen and left the class without saying goodbye to anyone. He reached home and announced that he has reached home, and Marguerite welcomed him, while sitting in the hall in front of the television. She then asked Chiba how was his day at the school and if he found any good comrades in arms in school. Chiba thought about the word comrade in arms for a while, and then said that they are all idiots who do not have much value to them, and said that they're some guy who have bleached their hair and had piercings on their nose and ears. He then explained that he chose this school just to get away from his hometown, and hence there is not much to expect out of this, and he said that the level is pretty low too, and said that hanging around with such guys with low level is just a big waste of time. He then tried to divert the conversation from himself and asked Marguerite, when is she going to pass on to afterlife? A very nice transition of conversation from our main character. Marguerite asked if he is going into that topic again, and said that Chiba is very persistent on this matter. To defend his words, Chiba said that there is no progress with her problems at all, and this way she is just wasting her time here, and said that at the end of the day she is unable to accomplish anything, which is similar to the situation where it doesn't matter if she passes on or not. He then said to her that she should give in on that cursed sword of hers and move on from it and prepare herself to pass on to afterlife and leave this mortal world behind. Hearing this, Marguerite started to stand up and the mood suddenly tensed up. Then Marguerite turned and pinned Chiba to the wall and with strong rage and disgust called Chiba a sewer rat and the one who stole her holy sword. She then said that she will kill him right there and now and drag the sword out of his dead body. She also said that she has learned how to fillet a fish from the television just this morning. Looking at her face, Chiba got terrified and thought if he will be split open today. He got scared out of his wits and ran away after escaping her. He told himself that he is a sewer rat and that he is going back to the sewer. Marguerite saw him running away and said that he is just running away from her like a rat. As he entered the streets, he thought to himself that even if she had a serious look on her and then stopped abruptly. He was trying to put a good image on Marguerite, but he stopped him and then concluded that at the end of the day she is just an evil spirit residing with him without his consent. He is still feeling bad about the fact that he has to pay for the food of 2 people, and he seriously wished that she could just pass on to the afterlife. He then went on to stroll through the streets of the city, and as he passed through the city and observed the skyscrapers, he realized that he has finally moved to the cities, and it is nowhere near the level of the countryside. As he was walking through the streets, he bumped into a gangster and water got spiller on his shirt. The gangster turned around and saw Chiba with the angriest look he can give him. He asked, what is he going to do? Compensate him and the water that got spilled on his shirt because of him. Chiba, now way too scared to move, managed to utter sorry, but the gangster was not having any of it and said that if he thinks that a simple sorry will be enough to compensate for the damage he caused. The gangster then tried to pick a fight with Chiba and demanded for a sum of 500,000 yen and said that it was the cleaning fees for the shirt. Chiba started stuttering and became so scared that he came to the verge of fainting after hearing the amount the gangster asked him to pay. After hearing the amount of 500,000 yen, Chiba tried to negotiate and argue with the gangster and said that it was just water, so why does he need 500,000 yen for cleaning it? The gangster got angry and asked him to shut up and just pay for the damages that he caused and get lost. Chiba tried to protest but was easily subdued by the gangster, and he later took Chiba's purse and said that he should consider this as a lesson and remember how generous he was being with him. He also said that this was a lesson on what happens if you mess with adults. Saying this, he took Chiba's wallet and started walking the other way. At that moment, out of nowhere, Marguerite turned up and asked Chiba if he is going lie down and will not fight back against the injustice he just suffered. Chiba was shocked as to why Marguerite came here and said her nickname, to that Marguerite said that he needs to stop giving her weird nicknames and start calling her by her full name. She came back to the subject and asked him if he was going to do anything about it or will he just let him walk over him like that, and asked that if he does not feel like standing up and fighting back against him and take back what was taken from him. Chiba thought for a while and then trembled and said that there is no way for him to do anything like that, nor will he able to do such a thing. He believes that standing up to someone when you do not have any chance of winning, for him that for his is just something only idiots do when they do not have any idea or target of efficiency. This way of living is the smarter choice for him, and this is what he called an adult response. Marguerite heard him out and after thinking for a while said that this is the most pathetic way of living. To defend himself, Chiba said that this is not an era where the guts, vigor, beliefs, and determination of a human solves things for him. As the gangster was going out of the alley, he checked Chiba's purse and found a large stack of cash and exclaimed that Chiba gets a lot of allowance from his family and said that he is a rich kid. As he was about to exit the alley, someone stood in front of the gangster and stopped him from going ahead. He stood up to the gangster and tried to stop him from passing through. The man who tried to stop the gangster from exiting the alleyway was Paris, the flashy blonde guy. He ran up to the gangster and tried to snatch the purse out of his hand and said that he should give the purse back to Chiba. The gangster became infuriated from the actions of Paris and punched him in the stomach that sent him flying across the alleyway. The gangster then warned Paris not to put his nose in other people's business and he should stop if he does not want more trouble for himself. Paris, without an ounce of hesitation, charged at the gangster, who again threw some punches and subdued Paris. He stood up again and relentlessly tried to fight the gangster even though he knew he had no chance of winning whatsoever. He faced a barrage of punches from the gangster but still stood back up and went up against an overwhelming opponent. Paris charged at him again and demanded the gangster to return Chiba's purse and even called the gangster a thieving magpie and also demanded that he apologize to Chiba for his behavior. The gangster again hit him with an uppercut and said that Paris is being annoying. Chiba was too shocked to see Paris for him to do anything. Seeing how Chiba was reacting, Marguerite asked Chiba if he knew that blonde person, and Chiba replied that he is from the same class as him. But the more shocking part was that even though Chiba always ignored him and blew him off, he is still fighting for Chiba, who is on his knees after accepting defeat. Chiba wondered to himself as to why is he going to such lengths to get back his purse and the money in it. Paris, who continued to fight the gangster, said to him that the money in Chiba's purse was not meant to be spent on parties, but it was Chiba and his sister's living expenses that would help them out until they get their next allowance. The gangster punched Paris's face again and said that it doesn't matter to him what purpose the money is for. He said that this is just his compensation and the fees for cleaning his shirt. Seeing this scene, Marguerite said to Chiba that his classmate is fighting his fight just to protect his friend's livelihood, even though he knows that he cannot win against the gangster. Then Marguerite asked Chiba if he would describe Paris as a fool right now who is fighting for his friend's allowance. Seeing how relentless, determined, and persistent Paris is in his efforts, the gangster got frustrated and said that he will give back Chiba his wallet, but in return he wants Paris's wallet and all the money he has on him at this moment. Paris readily agreed to the deal and gave the gangster his wallet without hesitation, as if it was nothing, and asked the gangster to take his cash and leave Chiba alone. As soon as Chiba saw that the gangster has taken Paris's cash, he sprinted towards the gangster and hit his body with full force, and that made Paris's purse fly out of the gangster's hands. And then Chiba shouted to Paris, if he was serious, and if he seriously does not know that no should touch a gangster's loot. The gangster got even more infuriated, and he was filled with rage, and he is now too annoyed by the young high school student's behavior. He asked what was wrong with him. The gangster then pushed Chiba back and punched him away from him and said that he is very annoying. As soon as he was punched by the gangster, Marguerite caught him mid-air and said that she is surprised and impressed by this side of Chiba and the way he can play nice. Marguerite, with a confident look, said that she can sense that the time has come. She said that she can feel that the sword will become loose now and that she can pull it out. Chiba now is utterly confused as to what will she pull out of him, but Marguerite totally ignored him and pulled the holy sword Mergestein out of his chest. Marguerite held the sword and pranced on the gangster to attack him. She moved close to him and cut him with an upward slash, and the gangster flew back from the hit and laid on the ground unconscious. He had no response, as if he is actually dead. The boys were still sitting on the ground and recollecting themselves. They were amazed when they saw swordsmanship in real life for the first time, but soon they came back to real life and then shouted and named Marguerite as the Psycho Slasher. Then after a moment, the gangster woke up. He grunted a bit and then tried to get up and sit. The boys, as he sat up, asked him if he was alive, to which he replied by saying that he is feeling like death walked over him. As he settled his thoughts, he saw that he had stepped on dog poop, and then he felt like he had something on his shirt too. He looked at it and then realized that his shirt has also been stained by dog poop. All of this was the fruit of culmination of all of his bad karma. All of a sudden, two big-sized men were standing behind him, and they seemed to recognize the gangster. They said hello to the gangster and addressed his as a kid. Upon seeing those two huge individuals, the gangster looked terrified, and they again continued to say that it really is great to meet him here like this. They said it really is a coincidence to meet him here like this in a random alleyway. They dragged the so-called wannabe gangster with them, till his voice faded. And the were boys still sitting on the ground and looking at everything with a puzzled look and wondered what was going on with them. Then, as they were left alone, Chiba picked Paris, and as he held his hand over his shoulder, he asked Marguerite if her curse backfired, but Marguerite corrected him and said that it was a purification technique and not a curse. And Chiba thought Five-O himself that what she did was indeed a curse. Then Chiba asked Marguerite, how did the sword came out freely? Marguerite said that it's true that it came out, but then thought to herself that even though the sword came out freely, its powers is nearly depleted, because if the holy sword had retained its true strength, then the gangster would have easily returned to God's embrace. Then Chiba remembered about Paris and asked if he is okay, and he just let out an ow. Then, out of nowhere, Paris thanked Chiba for saving him from getting any more beating and also saving his money. Chiba was not able to face Paris and said that he was the one who saved him from that gangster and even fought with him to get back his money. Paris then laughed it off and said to Chiba that he did not do much and that he does not need to bother with those useless things anymore. Then Paris said that he is an idiot because he should have called the police instead of straight away jumping into the fight and getting injured and have his money stolen in the process. Chiba heard him and paused for a while and then said that he is not an idiot, and then thanked him for helping him out in a difficult situation that would have been terrible for him, and then said that it meant a lot when he helped him and fought for him. Paris noticed that Chiba is looking sad while saying his appreciation. In order to lift his mood, Paris excitedly suggested that they should go to karaoke as it will best to uplift everyone's mood. Chiba, still concerned for Paris, said that they should get his face treated first rather than going to karaoke immediately. Then Paris turned to Marguerite and asked if she was Chiba's sister, and without saying a word, Marguerite pulled out the holy sword Murgestein and struck Paris with it. Chiba got surprised and horrified as to what did Marguerite do to Paris just not, when she praised his spirits and moral values when he was fighting with the gangster earlier. Chiba shouted at her asking what on earth did she do, to which Marguerite very nonchalantly, as if nothing was wrong with what she did, said that as Paris is also a witness to the extraordinary powers of the holy sword Murgestein. So now that the secret is revealed to him, he should be silenced, hence she severed some of his memory threads. Soon Paris regained his consciousness and asked where he is right and who are they. Chiba shouted at her and said that how he is behaving now is even more confusing now. Marguerite continued and said that they need to hurry up and silence all the other witnesses so that they will not cause any trouble in the future. Chiba shouted at her and said that she is a demon, so that she can pass on to the afterlife. They sit at the dining table to have their dinner. They both thanked God and then prayed to God for food. As they finished dinner, Marguerite, whom now Chiba called Maru, started to pick up the plates and clear the table to clean it. As she is picking the plates, Chiba stopped her and said that she should rest today and that he will wash the dishes and set them to dry. Maru denied that proposition and said that she will do all the household chores till she has some problem, because she is just a freeloader after all. So she does not want to be ungrateful to him and do her part to contribute in the household. She then said to him that he should focus on completing his homework, or else he will fail his night school. By night school, she meant school. Chiba agreed to her demand and said that he will take her offer and complete his homework so that he does not disrespect her efforts and also fail his classes. As agreed with Maru, Chiba sat down at the table and started doing his homework. As he is doing his homework, he thought that even though he agreed to do the homework, it is not like he has gotten a lot of homework from school as of now. As he is completing his homework, his phone makes noise and he gets a notification in his school class group. The message he got is of a suspicious person alert, and in that message, it is stated that a man who is in his 40s, with a height between 155 centimeters and 160 centimeters, who generally wear an all-black uniform type of clothes that covered him from head to toe, is reported to have been trespassing other people's private properties and then steal underwear of women around the school area. He is also said to have been seen peeping into other people's bathrooms as they washed and cleaned themselves. Chiba read the message and said to himself that this area is not very safe, and then again said to himself that this much of an abnormality and crime is expected, as this place has a way too low rent of 20,000 yen. As he is talking to himself, Maru comes behind him and calls for him and says that she has completely cleaned everything, and now that it is complete, she asks for his permission to allow her to take the bath first, as she has been cleaning the dirt, plates, the leftover food, and other things. Chiba agreed to her readily. As she went away, Chiba thought to himself that such a beautiful woman is asking for his permission to take bath first. He then got giddy and thought to himself that he never thought a day like this would ever come so early in his life. As he is fantasizing about all the other scenarios in his head, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he remembered how scary and frightening Maru can be if she wanted, and all his fantasies went down the drain. He then consoled himself by saying that even if she is a woman, and a very beautiful and charming one at that, she is still an evil spirit who is forcefully residing with him and is still refusing to pass on to afterlife. As he thought of it, countless terrifying memories of Maru flashed in front of his eyes. Maru then entered the room with a packet of bath salt and said that this will be the salt that will be used tonight. and then said to Chiba that she is going to the bathroom to take a bath first. Seeing how Maru was so careful about selecting bath salts and taking so much interest in bath, he thought that she really loves the baths and taking baths in the modern bathroom. She obviously was unable to take baths previously, as she was just a spirit for centuries, and now that she has attained a physical form, she is able to take baths. Maru entered the bath and turned on the shower and drenched herself and cleaned her body first, and it was very relaxing for her and let out a sigh of relief. Then she turned off the E and remarked that the baths of this country are really the best, and that her homeland never had such magical technologies related to baths. But the thing that she enjoys the most is the bath salts. She never experienced such freshness and feel after taking a bath. She then opened the packet of the bath salt and mixed it in the water contained in the bathtub. Then she mixed it till it totally dissolved and went inside the bathtub. As soon as she entered the bathtub, a warm sensation wrapped her body and she warmed from the inside and relaxed in the water. She exclaimed that it felt too amazing to her. But then she controlled herself and then said that she cannot let her guard down at any moment, no matter how tempting it is. She thought to herself that she must reclaim her sword as soon as possible, because that day when Chiba encountered the gangster and she used the holy sword Murgustine to subdue him, she felt that most of the sword's powers were gone after it entered Chiba's chest. And things for Maru got even worse when the sword returned inside Chiba's chest and did not stay with her no matter how hard she tried or what techniques she used. It just refused to stay outside with her. At that moment when the sword refused to stay with her, Maru realized that she only felt the power of Holy Sword Murgustane when she was praising Chiba's actions and approved them. Then she thought harder and concentrated to find an answer and concluded that her feelings for Rei might be the key to reclaiming and restoring the power of the Holy Sword Murgustine. At that moment, as she was thinking all this, a dark figure appeared behind the window from the darkness. Maru felt the presence of the weird man who was peeping through the window. She turned round and palmed his face after breaking through the window and pulled him inside and threw him through the bathroom door. The man broke through the door and hit Chiba in the face as he was going to the lavatory, and the man crashed out of the lavatory door. The man's head hit Chiba so hard that he flew him back, and then Chiba hit the wall and the bald guy fell on the ground. Then Maru daringly came out of the bathroom without wearing anything, and it got Chiba too flustered. The man tried to introduce himself as the Vier, but then he is stopped abruptly because he saw Maru in her birthday suit. As she threw the man straight through the bathroom into the wall on the side of the lavatory, the man broke through the wall and broke the door to the lavatory and hit Chiba on the face and made his nose bleed. Now Maru came out of the bathroom to check the peculiar individual and to interrogate him. As she came out of the bathroom without covering herself, both the men were shocked at her appearance. Then she asked him what is his name and to tell her about his identity. She asked him who is he, to which he replied that he is the Vier. At that point, Chiba was unable to remove his eyes from her body. And then he shouted something about his deposit fees. Then in the next scene, Maru gets dressed properly and hold the peeping Tom at knife point. Chiba then asked for an explanation from him as to why he is in his house. Maru then explained what happened, and then Chiba recollected the events that happened and laid it down for him. Chiba started and said that he was peeking at Maru while she was taking a bath, and then Maru caught him and threw him across the house, tearing apart walls of the buildings or his apartment. Chiba, with a look of disgust on his face, said that he is going to call the police. At that moment, the Vier said to Chiba that he was not looking at her or peeping into the bath with bad intentions. Then the Vier said that he is a researcher of evil spirits, and he is the Vier, and he is doing research on the evil spirits. Then Chiba asked if he really need the titles like Vier and all. Chiba then realized who he is and asked him if he is the old man who was peeking through the window while he was looking at this house to make contract for it. The old man replied that it was indeed him that was looking into this house, because this room is the room of evil spirits, and then said that he has come here to help him. He then asked Chiba that he release the evil spirit that was in this room, did he not? And then said that Marguerite is the evil spirit that was released. And at last asked if he was wrong. Chiba thought to himself that how an unknown man like himself know about his situation, and then asked him, why does he know that much? The bald guy then asked what is his name. to which he said that he is Chiba Ray. Then the bald man said that Ray has a way too strong spiritual power. He then explained that low-level spirits and normal-level spirits can never withstand it and would disintegrate in front of the overwhelming power that Chiba possess. Now, on the other hand, Maru is something or someone who absorbed his spiritual power and turned it as her own and used it to materialize her own physical form, and not she is living with him. He further explained that Marguerite is someone who doesn't disintegrate even when she is constantly exposed to Chiba's overwhelming spiritual power. Then that means that she is a tremendously powerful special-class evil spirit. Then Baldy said that if he continues to live with Marguerite, such a high-class evil spirit, then his own aura will get tainted. The bald guy then offered Chiba to get out of the house together with him and get away from here so that he can protect his aura. Then the bald guy reassured him that he will protect from her. But Chiba tried to deny his offer, and suddenly Maru said that there is no way that she will leave him, and even if he tries to claim him for himself, then he should be ready to give up his life. Then the bald guy asked Marguerite that why is she doing all this? To this question, Maru replies that Chiba has taken something that is very important to her and that she must make sure that he takes responsibility for it. Chiba from the back told Maru to not say unhinged things as they can be interpreted in a wrong way. Yusa from Class 1B was walking down the hallway when some students recognized her and started calling out, excited to see the top student. They praised her, mentioning how great she was doing and how amazing her speech was at the entrance ceremony. People were whispering among themselves, pointing out that she was the one who got the highest score on the entrance exam and gave the freshman representative speech. Though she tried to maintain her composure, it was clear she felt a little overwhelmed by all the attention. She just nodded and kept walking, feeling a bit awkward despite all the admiration. Yusa was walking down the hallway, visibly stressed, as whispers filled the air. Everyone kept calling her the top student or Miss Perfect, but deep inside, she was struggling with the truth. She wasn't actually the top scorer on the entrance exam, and the honor of being the freshman representative was only passed on to her because the real top scorer declined it. Even though she was second place, everyone assumed she was number one. Holding her head in frustration, she muttered how no one believed her when she tried to explain. Some classmates insisted that no one in their year could study better than her, brushing off her words as modesty, while she sighed, realizing again that trying to correct them was pointless. As Yusa was getting ready to head home, she spotted Chiba at his locker and called out to him. He seemed a bit startled but responded politely, asking if she was going home already and whether she was part of any clubs. When she replied that she wasn't, he simply said, "Nah," in response to his own lack of club activity. Though it was a simple exchange, Chiba internally panicked, unsure how to talk to girls his age and realizing he was just repeating whatever she said. Meanwhile, Yusa looked at him in a daze, thinking how cool and composed he seemed, impressed by how he never said more than necessary. Yusa thanked Chiba for his amazing speech during the entrance ceremony, saying it was really incredible. Chiba responded humbly, saying that if he had stayed as the representative, it would have been a disaster. He even bowed and thanked her for the opportunity instead. Yusa was quietly impressed, thinking about how humble he was, how he never showed off his grades, and even refused the representative position. She couldn't help but keep thinking about Chiba, even though she was struggling hard just to maintain her own grades. It made her feel uneasy whenever she compared herself to him. Meanwhile, Chiba was secretly thankful that Yusa gave the freshman speech instead of him. He admitted to himself that he would have completely messed it up with some weird mumbling and then probably tried to laugh it off awkwardly. He believed his whole high school life would have been ruined from that very first day. Yusa noticed Chiba sighing and asked if something was wrong, wondering if he was lost in thought. Chiba tried to brush it off by saying it was nothing important, but then admitted that something was actually on his mind. Though he joked internally that being possessed by an evil spirit might be worse, he eventually turned to Yusa and told her there was something he wanted to ask, which caught her off guard and made her nervous. Chiba suddenly asked Yusa if she wore panties at home, which left her totally shocked and confused. She panicked, thinking maybe she heard him wrong and there was no way Chiba would ask such a strange thing. Chiba quickly tried to apologize, realizing how weird it sounded. Right after his awkward question, Chiba nervously asked Yusa what kind she wore and where she bought them from, making her even more shocked and her glasses flew off. Chiba panicked, realizing how it sounded, and kept apologizing, saying that wasn't what he meant at all. After the whole embarrassing misunderstanding, Chiba finally explained that it was actually about his sister who had recently returned from abroad and was now living with him. He nervously shared that for some reason she wouldn't wear any panties at home, which he found pretty strange. Yusa was shocked but tried to stay calm, thinking it was a very free-spirited thing. Chiba added that his sister didn't know much about Japan and didn't even know where to buy panties, and since he didn't know anything about women's underwear either, he panicked and asked her instead. After hearing everything, Yusa suddenly offered to help Chiba's sister pick out panties during the next break, which left Chiba completely shocked. He tried to say it wasn't necessary and that it would be too much trouble, but she insisted with determination. Chiba stumbled over his words, not knowing how to handle the situation, while Yusa asked if she was being too forward about it. Right after that, Yusa shyly admitted that she had actually wanted to hang out with Chiba outside of school. She suggested they meet that weekend and asked if it was a deal, to which Chiba agreed a bit nervously. As Yusa cheerfully said she would see him tomorrow, Chiba stood there stunned, realizing he had just made weekend plans with a girl. He panicked a little, thinking how bad it was that it all started over ghost underwear. 2 days later, Yusa came to Chiba's house, and he was really surprised that she actually showed up. He didn't think she would come, so he got nervous when he saw her at the door. He said hello with a little stutter and quickly called for his sister, trying to make things less awkward. Yusa spoke quietly, and they both shared a shy and uncomfortable greeting. After that, Chiba met Marguerite, who was introduced as Rei's sister, but she seemed strange. She looked very confident and serious, like someone important. Chiba soon found out that she used to be a commander of some special night group. Now she was pretending to be Rei's sister for some reason. Yusa got nervous and quietly said it was nice to meet her. Marguerite suddenly showed up at the door and surprised Yusa and Chiba. She introduced herself as Marguerite and stated that for particular reasons she was acting as Chiba's stepsister. Yusa was really speechless on witnessing Marguerite in her outfit. Chiba was also speechless on her dumb act. He asked her why was she wearing something like that. He apologized to Yusa and assured her that his sister wasn't some weirdo. Chiba tried his best to change the topic, and he mentioned that they had received a whole kanpachi, which is a fish that is eaten in Japan, from their family. He also added that he was removing all the small bones from it. Yusa was really stunned as it was so costly and meant only for premium people. She couldn't believe that they had received whole kanpachi from their family. Chiba said that she could have a slice if she wanted to. After eating the kanpachi, Yusa decided to measure her size for the underwear. While measuring, she mentioned to Marguerite that she heard that she was a returnee from foreigners. She asked Chiba if she was half Japanese. Chiba agreed to her and mentioned that they were only half-blood related. Yusa looked at her with admiration in her eyes and remarked that she was really so beautiful and she would love to make a sketch of her. Yusa wondered what a sketch is. Meanwhile, Chiba was thinking that he warned her not to do anything stupid or say anything unnecessary, but her behavior was making him really worried. Then Yusa mentioned her size, which really shocked Chiba. She stated that Jiha must really had a good eye since his sister was so much beautiful and well-proportioned. Marguerite wondered about what she meant by saying well-proportioned, and mentioned that her stance was middle guard. After measuring her size, she looked to Chiba and said that she knew about a cute little shop and she would take her there to purchase her underwear. Chiba thanked her from the bottom of his heart. Then they went to a great shop for women's underwear. The gatekeeper greeted them with welcome. On looking at the store, Chiba realized that the place wasn't suitable for him and thought about waiting for them outside the gate. Yusa asked Marguerite about her likings in underwear on the basis of colors. Marguerite made a straight face and started to think. Then she spoke up and told her that she would like something that arrows couldn't penetrate like a chainmail to protect her chest from enemies' arrows. On hearing this, Chiba took her to a corner and requested her to not say anything weird, as that could make them think of her as strange. She wondered if she really told something that strange. She then mentioned that back in her country there was no such thing as women's underwear, so she had no idea about it. After hearing this, Chiba was assured that he can't wait outside and had to accompany her, or else she would really say something strange. He was arguing with her why she was acting like someone from the old days. She responded that she was really from the old days. Yusa was watching this standing few steps back, and she thought to herself that both of them were really so close. Then she started feeling uneasy, and she mentioned that she always felt uneasy whenever she looked at Jiha. She had no idea how to describe it, and then she realized that it was frustration. And she was frustrated because of Jiha, because to her he was a rival in study, and so she must work hard so that she won't have to lose to her, and she danced with joy. Chiba looked at her and asked her what happened all of a sudden. Then Marguerite came out of the trial room wearing underwear and asked Chiba about how it looks. She also mentioned that she found picture of a woman wearing something similar in Chiba's phone. Chiba really felt awkward and embarrassed, and he shook her and asked her why was she saying that and why did she go through his phone. A sales lady then noticed her and shouted that she shouldn't try underwear. Chiba apologized to her and told her that they would buy that. They bought 3 sets for her sister. She expressed how truly happy she was that she had finally found something she genuinely liked, and her face lit up with joy as she said it. Marguerite, still carrying that dramatic flair of hers, sincerely thanked Yusa for all the help she had given her throughout the day, clearly appreciating the support more than she could put into words. After that, Chiba, feeling a bit embarrassed by all the chaos and awkwardness earlier, quickly apologized to Yusa, admitting that things had gotten a bit too dramatic for a regular visit. Yusa, however, simply smiled and assured him that she had actually enjoyed spending time with them. She then began talking about her thoughts on Chiba. She mentioned that during school days, she used to think he was really cool, but also found him hard to approach. To most of the students, he seemed like an introvert who kept to himself and didn't really interact with others much. But after spending more time with him outside of school like this, she had come to realize that he was, in fact, a very lively and fun person to be around, completely different from what she had expected. She then suddenly gave an innocent smile to Chiba and told him that he was really so close to his sister and that somehow made her jealous. Chiba was disagreeing that it wasn't like that, but Marguerite suddenly spoke up that she and Chiba were inseparable. Chiba looked at her with an annoyed look and asked her not to say anything weird again. Yusa realized that the frustration and uneasiness wasn't because of not being able to match with Jiha. At the store, the cashier smiled and told them the total came to 17,400 yen. Chiba stared at the screen in disbelief, thinking he must have heard wrong. He quietly repeated the number to himself, trying to make sense of it, and got stuck on the 400 part like it somehow helped. But no matter how he looked at it, it still said 17,000. His mind froze for a second, unable to process why something would cost that much. Outside the shop, he sighed heavily, clearly defeated by the whole experience, and admitted to himself that he had no idea women's underwear could be that expensive. After the situation at the store, the lady at the counter still smiled and thanked them like nothing strange had happened, which felt kind of awkward. Chiba looked really depressed because he had spent a lot of money all at once, and the shock from buying that expensive underwear hadn't faded. He quietly thought about how his own underwear only cost around 600 yen from Uniqlo. Yusa tried to explain that Marguerite's size was special, so it naturally cost more. Marguerite stood silent for a while and then suddenly said seriously that she had made a decision. She told Ray that she couldn't keep depending on others to buy things for her and had decided to try something called a part-time job. Her voice was firm, like she had made a big life choice. Chiba stood there confused, wondering if she was really serious about doing a job now. It was hard to tell how things would go, but everyone could feel that Marguerite was trying to be more responsible. Even though it came as a surprise, they respected her effort. Chiba was still unsure, but quietly felt a bit proud of her for making that choice. On the next day after purchasing underwears, Marguerite was sitting in front of the TV and watching ads in it. In the ad, she saw a teddy dog named Mochirian Husky Strap. It had a feature that when we pinch it from both sides, then its tongue extend, and when its tongue extended, Marguerite, overwhelmed with its cuteness, fell to the ground in amusement. It appeared so cute to her. Next, we see both of them talking about her part-time job. Chiba remembered her mentioning about it the other day. Chiba told her that she wouldn't have to worry about the rent since she always did the housework. But Marguerite confirmed him that it wasn't about the rent. So Chiba asked him what it was about. Then she showed him a piece of paper in which she had drawn the dog she earlier saw on TV and said that she addressed it as a fateful encounter, like the dog was a living being. She told him that she wanted to buy it, so she needed to find a part-time job. Chiba was really confused and asked her if she really wanted a part-time job just to purchase that. She agreed that the dog was the reason. Then she requested him to teach her how to find a part-time job. Chiba thought about it, and then he got up and took out a list of available part-time jobs and suggested her that over searching online. He asked her what kind of job she wanted, and she replied that she wanted a job that pays her immediately. But Chiba recommended her that monthly pay is better. But she insisted on taking a daily pay job as the puppy might sell out since it was shown in TV. So she must hurry or she wouldn't be able to buy it. Chiba told her not to worry and assured that she could buy it any time she wanted. But she still insisted on her demand and said that everyone saw it, so she must hurry. Chiba accepted her request and started looking for a job that pays daily, and then he found a job that was too perfect for her. Job of a security staff. Marguerite, with a smile on her face, stated that protecting is the true calling of a knight. Chiba then told her that she would need to write a resume for it. Marguerite asked him what a resume is. Chiba explained that it is a document that one bring to the interview, and he also added that he would teach her how to write one. Then he asked her to write it together with him. She then suddenly stood up and with a chest thump and confidence asked him to leave it to her. She mentioned that once she handled a lot of administrative works as she was the captain of the Knights, the Knight Commander. She also mentioned that she received a nickname called Silver Hawk of Instant Death for her speed at work. She wasn't used to write Japanese, but it wasn't a problem to her because Chiba could teach her that too. Chiba was also so cheered up after her act, and he appreciated her great mindset. They both were sure that it would go well. Then they proceeded to write the resume. In the resume, Marguerite wrote all about her life in her time when she was a knight. Chiba was worried after watching that and asked her why she wrote so honestly. She replied that since she was a holy knight, she wouldn't lie. Chiba explained to her that some lies are better to tell. He decided that he would write her resume and asked her to practice for the interview. After 3 days, the interview date arrived, and Chiba was helping her in getting ready for the interview. They were checking their outfit and resume. Chiba wished her good luck and encouraged her to do her best in the interview as he was binding her tie. Marguerite told him not to worry about it as she could handle it on her own. She mentioned that she once handled so many negotiations with the enemies as the Knight Captain. Her high success rate earned her the title of Silver Lion of Interrogation. She assured him that even though she wasn't completely used to Japanese, but still she would win that battle. Chiba was impressed by her mindset and then she went for the interview. The scene changed and she was now sitting in front of the interviewer. His first question to her was why she applied for that part-time job. With a confident face, she told him that she had received various training as knight and she was so confident in her combat skills. The interviewer was really confused on hearing her answer. She further added that through the part-time job at his company, she could use her special abilities for the benefit of the company. She was thinking that she had done just as Chiba said about emphasizing her physical strength and courage. Then the interviewer asked her what her special skills were. She responded with a calm face that she could cut the enemy in half. The interviewer shouted in disbelief. She suddenly apologized and said that it was a mistake. The interviewer agreed with what she said, but also reminded her to take the interview more seriously. Hearing that, she quickly realized her mistake and apologized sincerely. She then asked for a chance to correct herself and added that for armored soldiers, it would actually take 2 blows. However, instead of being impressed, the interviewer looked completely horrified by her response. He clearly wasn't expecting such an answer and decided to reject her. Feeling down, she went back home to Chiba with a depressed and tired expression on her face. But even after the rejection, she firmly said that she wouldn't give up no matter what. Chiba, noticing how upset she was, tried to make her feel better. He gently told her not to worry too much about it and said that it was just one interview. He encouraged her to keep trying and said she would do better next time. A few days had passed since Marguerite's rejection, and they had been practicing for interviews every day. One day she went on another 2 interviews, and if she didn't succeed in any, then it would be her 10th rejection. Chiba decided that if she got rejected again and was depressed because of it, then he would give her his strawberry daifuku, which is a popular Japanese sweet. Then she suddenly appeared in the front and hugged him so tightly that his body started hurting. She apologized to him for using so much strength. Then she told him that she finally got a part-time job. She considered that day as her special day as she pulled out 2 tickets for Waterspring and bought the finest bath salts to honor the day. She then showed him her uniform, and on looking upon it, Chiba realized that she had got the job in Yoshida Restaurant. She was really happy and had a satisfied smile on her face. She then came closer to Chiba and told him that she had been practicing a lot for interviews with her resume, and he helped her in all of it. She thanked him wholeheartedly for his efforts. Chiba encouraged her to do her best in her first day. She was also so much cheered up for her job, and she claimed that she would work like a demon. But in reality, it was quite opposite. She messed up the kitchen with her abilities in her first day. The head chef was shouting on her. Water everywhere as she cut the sink into half. The chef was so much angry at her and asking her to give an explanation for her deeds. Her head was down as she was taking a hearing from her boss. Then she picked up the knife and tried to chop the vegetable but ended up cutting the kitchen cabinet. The chef was really furious on her and so he decided to fire her. He ordered her not to ever come back again because of the mess she created. She then started remembering what Chiba told him about not using her powers and overexerting herself. Tears started to come out of her eyes, and she was apologizing to Chiba silently that she failed to adapt to the modern Japan. As she was returning home with a heavy heart, she saw a mart, so she decided to heal her wounded heart with some strawberry daifuku. So she entered inside and noticed a bandit looting the old lady who were trying to loot the owner of the mart. A tall guy with glasses on, standing behind her and telling her to hurry up, and she was taking out money from her purse. The guy behind her told her to hurry up and made fun of her old age by saying that it will take her a century to take out the money. She was apologizing to them with fear in her face. He then came near her eyes and told her that she was wasting their time. She responded to him with fearful voice that she would be done soon. The bandit then grabbed her hair and pushed her head aside and said that in today's world, speed is life, and the slow ones are always left behind. The old lady was begging him to wait a bit. Marguerite was witnessing it all and recalling Chiba's words that her power must be hidden, but she decided to act on her own. She grabbed his hand and twisted it, and then with a heavy voice and fearless eyes, she warned him to not touch the old lady. He commented on her sudden and outrageous appearance, and then tried to punch her as he told her to get lost, but she tossed him upside down before he could land a punch. He was so confused and trying to get up. She suddenly pointed an umbrella towards his head and ordered him to leave, or else she would cut him. He was really so frightened. Then he started babbling about no violence and ran away in an instant. After he ran away, she started regretting her actions. She muttered to herself that adapting to modern Japan was impossible for her. The old lady thanked her and remarked her kindness. She denied and said that she was a fool who couldn't control his power. She told the old lady that she was fired from her part-time job because of her powers. On hearing this, the old lady asked her if she was looking for a part-time job. She told that it might be fate, but she was also in need of a worker and asked her if she would like to work at her fish shop. She accepted the job, and since it included cutting fish, her powers weren't an issue anymore. She got her first payment, and with it she bought the puppy, and she went to her Chiba with a really happy smile. She showed him the puppy and told him that she bought it with her first salary. Chiba congratulated her and appreciated her by saying that she did a really good job. She gently took Chiba's hand and placed a small puppy in it. With a soft smile, she told him it was for him and that it came as part of a set of 2. She asked him to accept it as his rent payment. Chiba blushed while holding the puppy, still unsure whether he should be happy about receiving it or concerned about the unpaid rent. He looked down at the puppy, confused, not really knowing what to say. Then she explained that she had been fired from Yoshida Restaurant. Chiba thought to himself that getting fired seemed like too light of a punishment, but he didn't say anything out loud. The next day at school, Knight came up to Chiba and asked him if he wanted to go to karaoke with him after school. He also said that it would be great if Chiba could bring his beautiful sister along too. Chiba immediately refused and told him that there was no way she would agree to something like that because she never went to karaoke. He said she was too serious and strict, kind of like a samurai, so there was no point in asking. Just then, Yusa showed up and asked if she could join them. Both Knight and Chiba agreed, but what Chiba didn't know was that Knight and Yusa had already planned something together. All 3 of them went to karaoke and seemed to enjoy their time. They sang a few songs, laughed, and shared snacks. While they were there, Knight decided to create a group chat so they could talk more easily. Yusa thanked him for doing that and said it would be helpful. Then, both Knight and Yusa suggested again that Chiba should at least try calling his sister. Chiba repeated that it wouldn't work, but Yusa said that with more people, the karaoke would be even more fun. She smiled and told him to just give it a try and ask her once. Chiba looked unsure but didn't say no. He started thinking maybe it wouldn't be so bad to try, even if she probably wouldn't come. The atmosphere was light and friendly, and they all seemed happy to be spending time together. But Chiba was still denying it and said that it's impossible to bring her to karaoke. But he was wrong. She did came to the karaoke and she was so surprised. She was watching the place with glimmering eyes, and then she picked up an instrument and asked if that was the legendary instrument, bantanrin. Chiba corrected her by saying that it's called tambourine. Yusa asked Marguerite if it was her first time in a karaoke. She agreed to her and also mentioned that she had already studied the proper etiquette. Knight stood up and said that the only thing that was left to do was to press the reservation button, and then they started singing. It was Yusa's turn. She started to sing a song with very gentle melody, but then Marguerite got up and started playing the tambourine with her hands. Everyone started dancing with the melody. Knight and Chiba started competing with each other by playing tambourine. Yusa was having the best time of her life. Marguerite confidently claimed that this was actually the right way to do karaoke since she had seen it in TV. Chiba silently thought it was absolutely wrong. Then Yusa passed the mic to Marguerite as her turn was over. Marguerite asked Chiba to confirm if it was her turn. Chiba asked her in a whispering voice if she knew how to sing. She looked a bit embarrassed and nervous before starting. She said she wasn't very confident in her singing, but still hoped that no one would laugh at her. Chiba smiled and gently told her that no one would laugh and she should just enjoy it. Then he asked her if she was going to sing a foreign song, and she nodded, saying that yes, it was a foreign song she liked a lot. After taking a deep breath, she started singing and dancing at the same time. Her voice was soft at first, but then it grew louder and more cheerful. The music was fun, and soon she turned the mic toward Chiba and the other two. They were surprised but joined in without hesitation. All of them started singing together and moved to the rhythm with simple dance steps. The mood became very light and happy. They weren't perfect, but they were having fun. Their singing and dancing made a bit of noise, and some people from nearby came to see what was going on. A few of them even clapped or hummed along. It turned into a small, cheerful moment that brought smiles to everyone around. Chiba and Marguerite were returning from shopping. As they walked out, Chiba told her that he was really glad that she found what she wanted. What she bought was the Beast cards. She stated that it sold out everywhere else, and so she couldn't buy it easily. She showed both cards to Chiba and asked him if it looked cool. She claimed that she had been battling neighbor kids since a few days. She then took him to a park where an adult and two kids were having a Beast cards beetle. The adult won the battle, and this made the two kids really frustrated. Then he looked at them with a smile and reminded them that as per the rules, they must give their rare cards. As he was about to take the cards, Marguerite grabbed his wrist and stopped him from taking the cards. She then declared that she would claim their cards back for them by winning the Beast battles. She sat in front of him with confidence. He spoke the rules of the game and challenged her that if she wanted the card back, then she must had to defeat him. She was so confident in herself. The other guy was also impressed by her determination and realized that she wasn't an ordinary person. He looked at her eyes and thought that her eyes were of someone who had fought 1,000 battles. As he was wondering about her move, she took out the weakest card, Nicotine. He was shocked and wondering what kind of deck was that. Then he realized that she was an amateur who didn't even know the basics of the game, but he was still feeling that something was off about it and felt like it was a trap. He recognized that it was the latest counter-type deck, and she wanted him to defeat Nicotine. He looked at him was confirmed that she wasn't an ordinary one. One of the kid who lost earlier stated that she always built the deck with cute cards, so she was really walk. Chiba was shocked to hear that. The other guy planned to counter the trap. He summoned Nessie and added water energy to it. He was curious about her response, but she decided to end her turn without doing anything. The other guy was really amused by her that move, and he also decided to do the same. One of the kids stated that the battle was too low level, but because of the flow, they had a chance of winning the battle with luck. But then they saw that the other guy had the upper hand on the game, and he was about to win. She had her last card, which was her strongest beast. He stated that the heaven was on his side that day. Frustrated by his words, she shouted that the battle wasn't over, and then she suddenly took out another card from her pocket and activated the trap by summoning the Lindworm. She had a smile on her face as she was sure that she was going to win. It was the super strongest dragon Lindworm that deals damage of 99,999 in one hit. Everyone there was shocked and couldn't believe what just happened. One of the kids said that even elementary schoolers wouldn't use such a powerful card and that it shouldn't be allowed in the game. The other guy was amazed and jealous of her for having such a strong card. But when he saw how powerful it was, he realized he had no chance of winning. Then he got an idea and played his water gun card. Luckily, her Dragon Lindworm card had a weakness to water, taking 100 times more damage. Because of that, she lost. The kids were confused and asked why she would give her card such a huge weakness. She said that without weaknesses, the game would be unbalanced. But the boy argued that if she cared about balance, she shouldn't have pulled a card from her pocket during the game. She didn't want to accept her loss. As the guy took her cards and walked away, she whispered that it wasn't over. Suddenly, she pulled out her sword from Chiba and rushed at him, trying to slash his memories. She even went after the kids to erase their memories too. Just then, Chiba appeared and stopped her, saying this was the reason she had been burned at the stake before. Then she vanished without a trace. When Chiba returned home, he found her chained to the ceiling again. She looked tired and frustrated, having used up all her spiritual power. Chiba looked at her and told her to stay like that for a while and rest. Marguerite was again stuck in the ceiling as she used up all her spiritual power. Chiba called Bale, the spirit researcher, thinking he might know something. He answered the phone and told him that he knew the method to free her again, but he wouldn't recommend it to him. He mentioned that manifesting her with his spiritual power was shortening his lifespan, and he warned him before too. Leaving her in that condition might be the best option for him. She looked at her for a second and realized that it was his only way to return to his peaceful life again. Beale asked him what he would do, so he responded that he had decided to free her, and asked her about the method to free her since he didn't want to borrow the holy sword his entire life. Beale also understood his situation and told him that he would teach him how to free her again. He then explained that to properly channel the flow of spiritual power and manifest her was to kiss her or do something even more intimate. Chiba was speechless on hearing it, and he asked her if there was any other way. Marguerite asked him if he found the method to free her. Chiba nodded yes and told her that by kissing her he could free her. Marguerite denied and asked him if there was any other way. He said that it was the most efficient way of transferring spiritual power. She shouted that it was pure nonsense and that man had deceived him. Chiba said that it was how he freed her last time too. She realized that there was no any other way and then asked him to do it quickly. Chiba then suddenly said that he was kidding and he had no intention of freeing her that much earlier. He told her that all of this happened only because she swung her sword like a maniac, and if she wanted to be freed, then she must promise him that she would always refrain herself from using the sword. In a furious voice, she replied that the holy sword belonged to her, and she would never take orders from a thief who stole her holy sword. Chiba whispered, "Is that so?" And then, with a menacing look on his face, he said that then he had to humiliate her and expose her most embarrassing side. He took out a notebook from his pocket in which she was writing her own story. He then stated with a scary face that he planned on reading it aloud. She asked him if he had a heart or not. He didn't care about her words and proceeded to read. He started reading the notebook in which there was a drawing of herself and her life back in her time. She mentioned about defeating the Olympian gods, earning respect from the deities, entrusted with a world-ending secret by her late mother, and many such other things. She was begging him to stop reading it as it was so embarrassing for her. The other ghost, who was inquisitor of the church, stated that she wrote like she was Mary Sui, a fictional character who was so perfect. The other one said that she ruined the original work. Both of the inquisitors started arguing among themselves about canon characters. Chiba tried to stop them and said that they shouldn't fight over their delusions. Marguerite was really frustrated and couldn't take the humiliation anymore, so she agreed to him and promised that she would never use her powers and sword recklessly on anyone. She asked him to hurry. Chiba, with a little bit shyness on his face, moved forwards and then kissed her. Then there was suddenly so much light in the room. When the light was gone, she was freed again and sitting on the floor facing downwards. She looked up with a blushing face and told Chiba that it was really so much embarrassing for her when he exposed her book before publication. Later, Chiba gave her the manuscript paper as an apology. Marguerite was feeling weak and had a high fever of 38.9 degrees, which surprised Chiba and Beale. Beale shouted that it was spirit flu and looked concerned. Chiba couldn't believe that such a thing could even exist. He further explained that spirits who aren't used to the human world are affected by seasonal changes. He said their spiritual power gets weaker during such times, so they need to rest, and it's kinda like catching a cold because of temperature difference. They were pretty worried about her condition. Maru was feeling sick, but when she was told to rest quietly at home for a while like Beale suggested, she suddenly shouted in protest. She insisted she couldn't stay home because she had an important card game appointment at the park. Despite clearly being unwell, she argued that a cold could be beaten just with willpower alone. Chiba told her she can't. They tried to convince her so much, but Maru stayed stubborn, refusing to listen to any reason and wanted to go out anyway. Chiba asked Maru if rice porridge would be all right for lunch, but she said she didn't want any. Chiba asked her with concern if she still didn't have an appetite. She looked at Chib with an innocent smile on her face, told him that it was the weekend, and suggested him to go out and have fun since she was fine. Even though she looked exhausted, she tried to smile. He gently said it was okay, and reminded her that she could rely on him more now. Chiba told her that he couldn't leave her alone, which made Maru pause and quietly say his name. Ray admitted silently that if he left her alone, she would probably sneak off to the card battle anyway. She looked at him with wide eyes and told him he was a kind-hearted man, though she still felt awful. But Chiba staying by her side made her feel a little better inside. She told him that she was feeling sick. Chiba started panicking and asked her if she was going to vomit, but she denied. She said that she was feeling sticky from sweat and wanted to take a bath even though she had a fever. Chiba gently reminded her that it's better to avoid bathing when someone has a fever, but she seemed set on the idea and even mentioned wanting to be healed at Dogo Onsen. Chiba noticed that she was indeed sweating a lot, and it was common for people who train since they have good metabolism. He requested her to wait a minute and went to the bathroom. He then brought a bucket full of water with a towel in it. Chiba handed a towel to her and told her she should wipe her body with it for now. Marguerite noticed the scent and said it reminded her of Dogo Onsen, and Chiba said that he added a little bath powder in it. He asked her to bear with it for the day. He then said he would wait outside until she finished wiping herself and to call him when she was done. Then he went outside and waited for her to be done. After a while, she called him in. When he went inside, she asked him to come near her for a moment. Chiba, with a surprised face, asked her what's wrong. She looked at Chiba and softly asked if he could wipe her back since she couldn't reach it herself. Chiba was completely shocked and stammered in surprise. Chiba hesitated for a moment, feeling unsure, but after seeing her trembling, he finally agreed and said he would do it. Maru nodded softly and said she understood. Chiba took the cloth and quietly offered to wipe her back. As he gently wiped it, Maru felt the warmth of the cloth and relaxed a bit, feeling comfort after a while. As Chiba gently wiped her back, he couldn't help but think that her skin looked really beautiful. It felt soft yet firm and had a nice smell even with the sweat. Both of them were so much embarrassed. Chiba then told her that he was done wiping her back and asked her to put her clothes back on herself. But as she was so much exhausted, she fell on the mattress and started shivering with fever. Her face was all red. Chiba was really confused about what he should do in such a situation and thought if he should dress her up. But then he decided to cover her with the futon and went to make rice porridge. Bale in his home was sipping tea, and he quietly wondered if Chiba and the others would be all right. He started recalling a strange feeling he sensed earlier in the room and questioned if it was connected to that moment with Marguerite. Chiba rushed to Marguerite as he saw her shivering so much. He was so worried and asked if she was all right. She was breathing heavily. He touched her forehead and said she was burning up. She wasn't responding and trembling with fever. In the year 1593, according to the glacier calendar, it was the third wave of battle. Soldiers were told to move forward and defeat the Imperial Witch. The fight was against Marguerite, the Witch of the Black Sword. As the battle started, the city was filled with loud explosions and soldiers were thrown everywhere. One soldier, scared and on the ground, realized that the powerful enemy was actually a woman, a witch. Another soldier screamed in fear as Marguerite walked toward them, surrounded by darkness. Marguerite walked through the broken building looking strong and serious. The soldiers were surprised and scared when they saw her. They said she was the Witch of the Black Sword, Marguerite from the Iron Serpent Knights. Her long hair and calm face made her look even more powerful. Even though the soldiers were scared, their leader told them not to stop and to keep going. Then she unleashed a powerful attack with her demonic sword named Gustin and destroyed everything in her way. Everyone realized that she was a real monster and unstoppable. The battlefield was full of dead bodies and injured soldiers. Marguerite walked through them slowly, looking calm. One soldier who was badly hurt and burned pulled out a small cross and pointed it at Marguerite. He asked for holy judgment on her, calling her the evil witch with the black sword. Suddenly, black chains came out and wrapped around her. Marguerite looked shocked as the chains caught her. She couldn't move a finger, and then suddenly everything went black. When she opened her eyes, she found her father sitting near her and calling her name. He finally felt relief as she opened her eyes, and then he made her drink the antidote for the curse placed upon her. She started to recall that her father was the one who saved her when she was struck down by a curse. He assured her that she was going to be all right. After all, she was a knight blessed by God. She remembered that her father nursed her for 3 days, and then she suddenly woke up from her dream. As she opened her eyes, she saw Chiba sleeping next to her. She also noticed a small bruise in his finger and some medicines nearby. Then Chiba woke up too, and upon seeing her, he suddenly sat on the mattress and asked her about her fever. She looked at Chiba and said it seemed like her fever had gone down. Chiba quietly agreed, and he let out a small sigh of relief and said he was really so much glad. He then told her that just to be sure, she should check her temperature again. To make her feel better, he gave her a drink and said he had bought Pocari Sweat in case she got thirsty. Chiba also told her that she should probably change her clothes so the night sweats wouldn't make her feel worse. He seemed a little nervous while saying all this, but it was clear that he really cared about Marguerite and wanted her to get better soon. Last night, Chiba had looked up a recipe online and tried cooking something for the first time. He wasn't confident at all, and he was worried that it might not taste good. While Maru was eating it, he nervously asked her if the taste was okay and even apologized in case there was an eggshell in it, saying that he wasn't very good at cooking. Maru smiled and told him that it was fine. She was touched by the effort he put in making it, and it made her heart feel warm. She started thinking that maybe she had misunderstood him before. After finishing the food, Chiba and Marguerite were sitting at the table, and he asked her what the spirit flu actually was, because he was still confused about it. He really hoped that it wouldn't come back again. She looked a little serious. Then she slowly explained to Chiba that something had been bothering her for the past few days. Every time she entered that room, she started to feel strange, like something wasn't right. At first, she didn't pay much attention to it. She thought maybe it was just because she was tired or maybe she wasn't feeling well. But the feeling didn't go away. In fact, it got worse over time. She began to notice that her spiritual power felt weaker whenever she stayed in that room for too long. It wasn't the kind of weakness that came from using too much energy. It felt like something was taking it away from her. Slowly but clearly, she felt her power being pulled out, and it left her feeling uneasy and even a bit scared. Chiba listened carefully and looked at her with surprise. He asked her if she really believed that something was draining her spiritual power. She nodded and said she was sure now. The way it happened didn't feel normal at all. Hearing that made Chiba pause. He looked around the room and began to wonder what could be behind it. Until then, he thought maybe she had caught a cold or was just overworked. But this felt different. If her spiritual power was really being taken, that could mean there was another spirit nearby, one strong enough to drain power without showing itself. Another vengeful spirit was in the room where Chiba and Marguerite were. Her face was covered with a cloth that had many strange signs drawn on it, and her black hair hung loosely. She was also tied to the wall, just like how Marguerite had once been, and there was a dark aura surrounding her, which made the room feel heavy. She spoke in a quiet but scary tone, whispering that she needed power. Chiba thought he heard something strange and looked around, and before he could react, black hands came out from the wall and grabbed him, pulling him inside. Marguerite ran to him and tried to reach his hand, but she couldn't make it in time. He was dragged completely into the wall. Inside, he was thrown onto the ground hard, and as he got up, he looked around and saw that everything was covered in black flames. Even though the flames looked dangerous, he noticed they were not hot, which made him wonder if they were even real. Then he saw the same spirit, still chained to the wall, wearing the mask that covered her face. She stared at him and spoke calmly, saying that she could sense his spiritual power and that it was as powerful as she had expected. Chiba was surprised and embarrassed because the spirit was completely naked, and she noticed him staring. She scolded him, saying that she was wearing a mask, so technically not everything was visible. She called him a fool and told him to stop looking. Chiba tried to defend himself, saying that while she wasn't fully exposed, she was still almost 90% naked. She yelled at him to shut up. At that moment, Chiba started thinking about the flames again and how strange it was that they didn't burn. Then, from behind the wall, he heard Marguerite calling his name again and again, and he called out to her too. But there was a magical barrier between them that didn't let their voices reach clearly. He became annoyed and started hitting the barrier in frustration. Meanwhile, the spirit who was chained began to cry and shouted that the fire was too hot for her. She begged him to help her because she said she would die if he didn't release her. Chiba then realized that her situation was similar to how he had first found Marguerite, and so he smiled and said that maybe he would have to release her the same way he released Marguerite. The spirit looked surprised and asked what he meant. Then she sighed and said it was frustrating, but they had no other option. She told him to quickly give her some of his spiritual power. At that moment, Marguerite screamed from the other side that Chiba's spiritual power belonged only to her. Chiba pretended to be hurt and said to Marguerite that she only saw him as a tool for spiritual power and nothing more. Marguerite shouted back that now was not the time to act like a drama character and reminded him that if he gave his power again, his life might get even shorter. Chiba admitted she was right, but the spirit girl started begging again, saying that if he didn't give her the power quickly, she would really die. Chiba looked awkward and said that the way she was asking made it sound weird and kind of inappropriate. Marguerite screamed that Chiba should only give his power to her and not anyone else. Both girls began to argue, each claiming that his spiritual power belonged to them. Chiba stood in the middle, completely confused, not knowing what to do. One of them kept shouting to hurry and give the power, while the other was yelling that she would never allow it. The spirit girl was tired of the argument and suddenly pushed herself onto Chiba. She absorbed the spiritual power from him directly and broke free from her chains. At that moment, there was a bright flash of light, and the building shook. When the light faded, Marguerite ran into the room and looked around to see if Chiba was okay. The girl, now free and standing tall, declared that her spiritual power was finally restored. Then, as if remembering something funny, she asked Chiba if he was a virgin and said that even though she had asked him sweetly earlier, he just kept hesitating. She then said it didn't matter because his magical power was amazing, so she would forgive him. With confidence, she introduced herself as Basquione, the Witch of the Key, and told Chiba that it was nice to meet him. She referred to him as Spiritual Power Tankun and said that from now on, she would make him her first servant. Meanwhile, Ray was lying on the floor, completely unconscious. Marguerite rushed over to check on him and tried to wake him up. Chiba mumbled something in his sleep, saying that it was smooth, and Marguerite instantly understood what he meant and shouted his name angrily.